You keep struggling with lust and you don't fully understand why. It's not that you don't care and it's not that you don't want to change. In fact, most of the time you do. You tell yourself this is the last time. You feel that conviction, you want to be better, but then days go by and you're right back in the same cycle. Temptation, giving in, regret, starting over. And after a while, it starts to really mess with you, and you begin to ask yourself and question yourself, why do I keep doing this? What's wrong with me? Why can't I get it together, or why can't I get it under control? But let me tell you something clearly. You don't struggle with lust because you're broken. You struggle with lust because something in your life is out of order. And once you understand that, you can actually begin to fix it. So let's break this down and let's learn how to overcome lust. The first reason you keep struggling with lust is because your mind is overstimulated. Right now, your eyes are constantly being fed social media, videos, images, scrolling. You may not even be looking for it, but it finds you anyway. And over time, your brain gets trained to expect that level of stimulation. So now normal life feels slow. Quiet moments feel uncomfortable, and your mind starts craving more. Not because you're weak, but because you condition it to be that way. So here's what you do. You don't just try to resist lust, you clean your environment. So starting today, audit what you're seeing. Who are you following? What are you watching? What are you exposing your eyes to daily? Because what you feed your eyes eventually controls your thoughts. So remove what's feeding the problem. That's step one. The second reason you keep falling into lust is because you're relying on willpower. You're trying to fight temptation in the moment it shows up. You tell yourself, I'm not going to do it this time. But by the time you're saying that, you're already too deep in the battle. And willpower alone is not enough. So instead of reacting, you need a system. You need a response that's already decided. Something simple. Don't overthink it. When temptation hits, you move physically. Stand up, leave the room, put down the phone, go outside, interrupt that pattern immediately because lust, it thrives in stillness, but not the kind of stillness with God, the kind where you sit there and you let your mind wander. So don't sit in it, break it every time. The third reason you keep struggling is because you're trying to change behavior without changing identity. You're focused on stopping what you do, but you haven't decided who you are. And that matters more than you think because behavior follows identity. If deep down you still see yourself as a man who struggles with lust, you'll keep returning to it. Not because you want to, but because that's who you believe you are. So you need to shift that. You need to start saying, I don't live like that anymore. Not just in your head, but out loud. When temptation comes, that's your response. Not, I'm trying to stop, but that's not who I am anymore. And stand on it, even if it doesn't feel right yet or feel true yet, because identity is built through repetition. The fourth reason, and this one ties everything together, you're disconnected from God more than you realize. And I'm not saying you don't believe, I'm not saying you don't care, but connection requires consistency and discipline with God. And when your time with God is random, your awareness of Him becomes weak. And when that awareness fades, temptation gets louder because now you're operating in your own strength. So here's what you do. You build a simple connection point every day, 10 minutes, same time, no phone, no distraction, just you and God. You don't need to make this complicated. You don't need to perform. You just show up, and over time, your awareness will begin to sharpen. Your conviction will begin to strengthen, and your decisions begin to change, not because you're forcing them, but because you're aligned again. So let's bring all this together. You don't keep falling into temptation or lust because you're weak. You're falling into it because your mind is overstimulated. You have no system for temptation. Your identity isn't rooted, and your connection with God isn't consistent. But now you know what to do. So here's your starting point. Starting today, Clean your environment. Decide your response before temptation hits. Speak your identity out loud and spend 10 minutes with God daily. That's your reset. Not complicated, but powerful if you actually do it. And if you want help putting this into a structure, I created something for you. The King's Forge 7-Day Men's Reset. It's designed to help you rebuild discipline, reset your habits, and strengthen your walk with God. And I have the link to that in the description below, so be sure to check that out. And if you're serious about building self-control as a man who is disciplined, grounded, and in control, I want you to subscribe to this channel. This is what we do here. We don't just talk about change, we build it. Now, the question is, are you going to keep repeating the cycle, or are you ready to break it? Start today.